Patrick, Patrick is our broker manager in the Oakland office, and he's also part of the Chopper Russo team. He is the best person when it comes to commercial, and he has put something together to share with all of you guys. Patrick?
Yes, thank you, Idona. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining. Thanks for spending some time with us. So as Idona said, I'm the broker manager for the Oakland office. I've been with Chopper for about 8 years full time. And I've been doing commercial, almost exclusively commercial, for about the last 6-7 years. So hopefully there's some stuff I can share with you guys. And if anyone has questions, you could raise your hand, you can put it in the chat, and we'll take questions at the end too. So let's talk about some basics of.
Hi, Patrick. My name is Karma.
Yes,
Me
Karma,
and my husband with us, we do commercial, and I'm so excited about your session today.
Good. Well, I'm looking forward to it, Karma. Thank you for joining. All right. So first things first, guys, I want to go over the code of ethics very quickly because it's not something we get to do very often. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is not just related to commercial real estate, but it really could be related to any real estate listing that you take that you do not have experience in. So just briefly, I'll read this to you guys. The services which realtors provide to their clients and customers shall conform to the standards of practice and competence which are reasonably expected in the specific real estate disciplines in which they engage, specifically residential, real estate brokerage, property management, commercial and industrial brokerage, land brokerage, etc. Realtors shall not undertake to provide specialized professional services concerning a type of property or service that is outside of their field of competence, unless they engage in the assistance of one who is competent on such types of property or services. So it's just a reminder for you guys that if you've never sold a mixed-use property, you have never done a commercial lease, or you're taking a new office building listing, it's a great opportunity for you to reach out to somebody who does some commercial in your office and maybe partner with them, ask them questions, because you don't want to be the agent that takes a listing that you really don't know much about. Because then what's going to happen is it's going to be priced incorrectly, it's going to sit on the market, and then one of the big guys at one of the big commercial firms is going to gobble us up and take the listing away. So make sure that you're working with, some of your local experts in your areas that do have experience in doing commercial, mixed use, etc. All right, so very brief.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm not sure if you're sharing your screen, but we're still on the basics of CRE.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I am on my display.
Sometimes with Zoom, you need to, okay, there you go. Now we see the code of ethics.
All right, so can you guys see that now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. So anyway, I just read you the code of ethics, which hopefully you guys will take some stock into that. And if there's anything that needs to be, addressed with that, you can always ask me, like, hey, if I have experience doing a 4 unit, can I do a 6 unit? I would say probably yes. It's only 2 more units. All right, guys, let's go. Can you see the next slide? Did it change or no?
Not yet.
I don't know why it's doing that.
So
all right,
I had
guys,
this issue the other day. If you put it in presentation mode, and then it'll present and share the screen where the presentation mode is, it'll advance. And then do you have 2 screens?
All right, so now you guys can see what is CRE.
Yes.
Well, it's loading.
Let's see.
Yes, we see what is CRE.
All right, thank you, guys.
There you go.
All right, so very basically, what is CRE? CRE is commercial real estate and refers to property used for business purposes, such as offices, medical offices, research properties, retail spaces, industrial facilities, multifamily housing. You're typically talking about more than 4 units, specialty properties, and more. CRE offers investment opportunities with potential rental income, appreciation, and tax benefits. Some of the things that don't come along with owning your residential home. Most people say that owning your residential home is actually a liability, and owning a commercial real estate investment opportunity is more of an asset. So if you look at it that way, it costs you to live in your house. And when you own an income producing property, it pays you to own it. Let's talk about the value of the CRE market in the United States. So a couple of years ago, it was about 25.7 trillion. And by 2028, it's expected to grow to about $28.1 trillion in market value. So it is a significantly large asset class. It is not as large as residential real estate. But I just want you guys to know what the size of the market is, especially around here where our prices might be a little bit higher. There's tons of commercial opportunities just in New Jersey alone with some of our great access to highways, ports. We have a lot going on as far as New Jersey goes. You know, we're right at the seat of the Eastern Seaboard. You know, some of the ports we have, Port of Newark is one of the busiest ports in the world. So definitely something for you guys to keep an eye on and understand. Can we see the next slide? Good, great. All right, let's talk about some different asset types. So we went over some of the basics, but let's talk about office buildings. So everyone knows an office building, right? Maybe some of our RE/MAX Select offices are located in a larger office building. And maybe there's some medical clients in those office buildings, you know, a dentist, therapist, surgeon, etc. Those would all be considered, you know, some of our medical offices. Office buildings and most commercial properties are classified into Class A, Class B, Class C, and those things depend on, you know, the quality of the building, some of the amenities that they offer, and then of course, and most importantly, would be the location. We're also, we have retail spaces, so that would include our shopping centers, malls, strip malls, freestanding buildings. Maybe where also some of our offices are located. Typically, your retail spaces are going to have higher foot traffic. Location is also a key factor for success with some of these retail spaces. You have industrial properties, which had quite a big boom over the last few years. Those that are in our South Jersey and Central Jersey crew, you have seen the industrial boom by you guys. It's starting to inch its way up here, but we just don't have the land to build. So we're talking about warehouses, distribution centers, manufacturing facilities, and the demand is influenced by logistics, supply chain, and e-commerce trends. You will note that I have in stars here data center. And the reason why I have data centers is because that is one of the fastest growing commercial real estate industries. Warehousing for e-commerce has been very big over the last 10 years. Warehousing for manufacturing is going down. So there's a gap where, and a lot of this gap is being filled in by data centers. Companies like Microsoft, you know, OpenAI, all these companies are opening large data centers. I believe the most recent one that they're going to open is out in Texas. It's like 2 million square feet of just computers and fans. So think about, you know, what a commission could be on a deal like that. Multifamily housing, you're talking about more than 4 units, guys. Anytime we talk about multifamily and commercial, you're talking about more than 4 units. The reason why is because when you go more than 4 units, you cannot get traditional residential financing. You now have to go to a commercial loan or a DSCR loan. We're talking about apartment complexes. Maybe it's a whole condominium development, townhouse development. And typically you're getting income from each unit there. Maybe you have a super who lives in one of the units. And then last but not least, you have specialty properties. Talk about churches, schools, government-owned institutional properties, farm properties. There's a few other different asset types in there. I know a lot of the churches, unfortunately, around us are you know, their congregations are shrinking. So churches is actually, I think, a growing opportunity out there too for some of those properties to get repurposed. All right, our next slide, we're going to talk about cap rates. The reason why we're going to talk about cap rates is because when you speak to an investor, this is all that an investor really cares about. Maybe they also care about appreciation, but most importantly, they're going to care about what is their return on their investment. So we all know ROI, our return on investment. Your cap rate is essentially your ROI without a mortgage. So it represents the rate of return on an investment property based on its net operating income relative to its purchase price. And it's a very simple formula. This is all the same math that we did when we took our real estate exam. So the cap rate equals your net operating income divided by your purchase price. Cap rates vary by property type, location, market conditions, and investor preferences. Lower cap rates indicate lower risk, but potentially lower returns, while higher cap rates may imply higher risk, but higher potential returns. I'm going to say that one more time. Lower cap rates indicate lower risk, but potentially lower returns. And higher cap rates may imply higher risk, but higher potential returns. We're going to discuss that a little bit more on our next slide. So let's just work on calculating a cap rate. Suppose we have an office building that generates $200,000 in net operating income, and we're purchasing it for $3 million. So very simple math here. We're just going to take the $200,000, divide that by our $3 million purchase price. That gives us our decimal of 0.0667. And then if we multiply that by 100, that is 6.67%. So this implies that we're getting a 6.67% return on investment based on the property's income today when we purchase it. So let's talk briefly about a 6.67% return on investment. As we know, interest rates have been higher over the last few months, and that also means they've been higher for commercial and investment properties. So if I'm an investor and I know I have to go get a 7.5% mortgage rate on this property, and it's only generating me 6.67% return, I'm actually losing money. I'm losing almost 0.75% to this property every single month because my interest rate is higher than my return on investment. So if you notice that, it's actually been quite hard to make some of the financing deals work today because interest rates are still high, and maybe the income on the property isn't low enough to justify making the investment at $3 million. If I was going to purchase this property at $2 million, that's going to make my cap rate a lot higher. Thus, it might make it a worthwhile investment depending on what interest rate I'm looking at. The reason why I'm explaining this to you is because this is how an investor, this is how your potential buyer clients will be thinking. And if the rate of return is less than what they're going to be charged for interest, they're going to say, why are you showing me this property? I'm losing money. Let's talk about different factors that affect our cap rates. This is very important. So property type, which we already spoke about, different asset types have varying risk profiles and market dynamics. Location, cap rates can vary significantly by geographic area. Prime locations are typically going to command lower cap rates. And if we go back to our formula here real quick, a lower cap rate is going to mean that we're going to have a higher purchase price, meaning that the property is valued at a much higher price as opposed to what it would be if it had a lower rate. Market conditions, economic trends, supply and demand dynamics, and investor sentiment also influence cap rates. Property condition, well-maintained properties may justify lower cap rates due to reduced risk and higher potential appreciation. And then lease terms. Lease terms with credit-worthy tenants can stabilize income and justify lower cap rates. Right, if I have a client that owns a building with Wawa in there as a client, that might be a much better lease and tenant out there because Wawa has credit worthiness rather than a mom and pop convenience store, right? A mom and pop convenience store might have a personal guarantee, but they're not on the same level as Wawa. So the reason, again, another reason I'm bringing this up is because as you start to look for investment properties on the market, you will see this. Let's take an example. You know, if you're looking at an investment property in Spring Lake, that might justify a lower cap rate because there's less risk in a place like Spring Lake as opposed to a place like Trenton. If I go buy an investment property in Trenton, I might have to command a higher cap rate, higher rate of return because of the higher risk that I'm taking when I buy something in Trenton, right? So when you start to do your research, you will notice, hey, all the properties in my main city area have higher cap rates, and some of the more insulated areas in my market, their cap rates are lower. And you'll start to realize that's because the risk profiles of those properties are different based on their locations. Market conditions are also very important. I'll touch on that briefly because let's talk about our office building again. There's not a lot of office buildings today that are 100% occupied. So there's a lot of risk if you're going to go buy an office building today. That's why investors, adjusted their cap rate profile by a whole percentage point to adjust for the additional risk they were taking when they were going to buy an office building. And then obviously location, right? Location. If you have a property on the highway that's income producing, it's definitely going to be valued higher than a property that's off the beaten path with the same type of tenant. So I just wanted to give you guys some brief overview about cap rates and why an investor cares so much about the cap rate. Different asset types always have different unique opportunities and considerations for investment. Cap rates are a useful tool for evaluating investment potential and comparing properties within the market. So cap rate, I think, is one of the best things that you can understand for yourself if you are looking to get into commercial real estate. And before I stop, I would like to switch my screen, guys, and I'm going to share one more screen with you guys with a real life example for a listing that we have on the market today. So this is 111 Galway Place in Teaneck. I think Tommy from my team is on the call too. So thank you, Tommy, for preparing this so I could share it with the company. So this is a flex style building. It's in between office and a warehouse. And I just want you guys to have an idea of our cap rate. So you see that we have the gross rent of $194,000 here. We have our total expenses down here on line 17, which are $74,784. That gives us our net operating income of $119,679. And I take that number and I divide it by $3 million, which is our asking price. That's a 4% return, which is not good. It's part of the reason this property is still available because our income is just not high enough. We have some vacancy in this building, and there's also some deferred maintenance. So it needs, definitely some love. I also want to show you the schedule of cap rates here on how much of a difference just a 0.5% return makes to the potential purchase price. If I'm going to buy this building at a 4 cap rate, it's worth about 2.9 based on today's income. But just an extra 0.5 point more, 4.5%, brings the value down, $300,000. So 0.5 point return on the cap rate equated to almost $300,000 less in the purchase price. So I just want you to see how big some of these swings can be, because sometimes that 0.25 point, 0.5 point difference on your cap rate can make or break the deal. And when you're speaking to an investor, show them a schedule of cap rate like this. Show them, hey, if you buy it at a 7 cap, this is what it should be worth. If you buy it at a 6 cap, it's worth more. And those are things that you have to, have all the information for. We also use something called pro forma. Pro forma is essentially what the potential rent could be on a property. Let's say I have an office space that's vacant and it's getting $0 per month right now, but I know if I lease it, I could get a minimum of $1,000 a month. So my pro forma rent is actually, when I do my income and expenses, will be $1,000. Now, investors don't pay for potential, they really only pay for actual. So even if you put pro forma numbers on there, an investor may say, well, that's great, but their building still has vacancy. All right, so I'm just going over here briefly to our rent roll for this property. The reason is because you can see I have a few spaces that are vacant here, as we just discussed. And down here below, you'll see that Tommy actually included what their potential rent could be down here. 1,500 for a vacant space, 2,300, and almost another 1,500 for the last vacant space. So that would show us what our total income on this property could be. And to Tommy's point, if I can get my net operating income up to 185,000, now I got a good potential investment opportunity at $3 million. It's a 6.17% return, which is a little bit more attractive for an investor. So the other thing I'd like to finish off in saying is I do have templates for some of this, valuation stuff. If anybody would like us to share our template with you, we are happy to do that. And, if anybody has any questions as far as like getting a listing, pricing something, you need access to CoStar or LoopNet, which is where most of the commercial real estate business gets done. Reach out to me and I'll be happy to work with you on it. Some of us on this call, I know we've worked together on some commercial listings, and I'm really happy to do that. For those that don't know, RE/MAX in general is a top 15 commercial firm. Most people don't know that, but we are pretty much a player in the commercial industry. So I just want you guys to realize that. And, when you get commercial listings, hold on to them with both hands because they can lead you to a lot more stuff. Those of you that have sold houses to your business owner clients, you already have commercial clients. The person who's a plumber, guess what? He needs somewhere to park his vans and trucks. He needs somewhere to store all his plumbing materials. So that's definitely something that I think, we should keep in the back of our mind. You guys probably have a lot of clients that are commercial leads that you just don't realize just yet. Maybe next time you're touching base with your sphere, hey, how's your business going? You guys booming like everybody else? It's a great question to ask. So with that said, I would like to open it up for a couple questions if anybody has anything.
I have
And
one
I will
question
do-
for you, Patrick.
Yes.
Very well done. Thank you. I just have one question, which is, we have helped a client to lease for him about 7 different places, and it was commercial and also rental in the meantime. So for my client, he did pay commission for both sides, for the listing side and for whoever brought client to our site. So my question to you is can you ask if the seller refused to pay commission, can you ask the tenant that they can pay your commission on commercial?
Yes, absolutely.
And what you think what you think the rate that you reasonable rate to ask the for somebody for commercial?
Depends on the type of property it is, Karma.
Yes.
If it's retail, probably, 2.5%. It's going to be somewhere in that, 2 to 3% range, I would say. Maybe more, maybe less.
Okay. Okay.
If it's office, though, typically a tenant's rep gets a higher fee on an office building.
Okay. Actually, the owner I have, he was very generous. He offered 8%, so which is divided to both of us. All right, very well. Thank you so much. It will be okay if my email is karmabush@AOL. If you be kind to send me your phone if it's possible sometime.
Yes, Karma, can you just put it in the chat, please? Thank you.
Sure.
So Patrick, before someone else asks you a question, I do want to be fair. If you've never done commercial before, and although Patrick has graciously said that he's willing to help, I think it's better to partner up with him where, it's fair for him to make a commission, especially if he's helping you and guiding you from A to Z. So don't just call him every 5 minutes asking him for assistance. It's good to use somebody who specializes on this and he gets compensated for the amount of advice and help that he's going to bring you. And then after that, of course, then you can go ahead and do your own commercial, but especially in the beginning because it is a different ball game. It's very different than residential. So yes, we all want to get into commercial, but I'm gonna recommend that you do partner up. If it's not him, somebody else, but don't just think that, oh, I can handle now commercials and I'll just call Patrick and he'll guide me to the closing. And I just wanted to put it out there because I know Patrick is more than willing to help, but it's also fair because you wouldn't want someone to call you from commercial on the residential and you help them get to the closing table and not compensate.
Okay, one more
Okay.
question for Patrick. What area he cover?
So, Karma, my office is in Oakland, which is northwest Bergen County, or way up north. But you know what? My license is good for the whole state. I had a listing down by Philly a few months ago. So if it's a good, worthwhile commercial listing and you don't mind making the
Very
trip,
good.
your
Thank you
license
so
is good for
much.
the whole state. Thank you.
Hey,
And
Adona,
Idona, thank you as well.
Adona, down the road, we should do about business brokerages too, because we sell a lot of businesses.
Yes.
Absolutely. Patrick, whenever you're ready.
We'll put that on, we could put that on the, maybe my next presentation. That's a good idea.
Absolutely.
Hey, Patrick, I just wanted to add on to what Idona said, because a lot of times, you know, that hits home for people who work on commercial, you know, and like yourself, I've called you for questions as well. And, you know, I just want to let the other people on this call know, you know, I've done commercial, not as much as Patrick, but I rely and I still call Patrick. I teamed up with him looking for a car dealership at one point, you know, so even though I have a little bit of commercial experience, I still like to team up with Patrick because, you know, he can bring us to the finish line. And trying to do it out, you know, doing the commercial and real estate at the same time sometimes doesn't bring it to the finish line. And that's why I prefer to partner with Patrick on commercial, you know, especially he's very good at it. So.
Well, thank you.
Patrick,
Thank
do
you.
you mind sharing your contact information on the chat so that in the event somebody wants to partner with you, also it works both ways, right? If you're taking a
Yeah.
commercial listing or you represent the buyer and you're submitting an LOI to someone else, they may not want to work with you knowing that you have no knowledge or very little experience with commercial. They're not going to want to deal with you. Sometimes deals for commercials, they don't take 3 months. Sometimes it takes years, depending how complex it is. So using Patrick would be beneficial to all of you because he is well known, has a great reputation, and is really good what he does, and partnering up with him for the first few transactions would be beneficial to both you and him. So
Plus,
yes.
Patrick's on platforms that cost over $4,000 a month. Crexy, CoStar, LoopNet. What else you got? Build Out. You got a few other things, right?
Yeah, so use
10X.
10X Prospect Now. So anyway, to Chopper's point, yes. And the last thing that I will say that was not mentioned is the liability for commercial guys is a lot higher than the liability in residential, because you're not just talking about somebody who doesn't have a place to live. Now you're talking about potential lost business. You're talking about things that could end up in court for years, which unfortunately I've been a part of, and it's not fun. So, you know, I will leave it at that.
So before you
Anyway,
guys leave, just copy his information on the chat so that way if you do need to reach out to him, you can. He put his phone number and his email.
and I copied everybody else's email, so I'll get everybody that template. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me directly.
Thank you,
Any other-
Patrick.
Yes, thank you.